Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. 2 men remain on the run tonight after staging an armed robbery at a Howrah pizza shop last night. The masked offenders threatened staff with a gun and another weapon before fleeing with cash.
A quiet Sunday night at Howrah Pizza Hut shattered. At 9:15, 2 masked weapon-wielding men burst in to stage a terrifying robbery.
One of the males was holding what appeared to be a handgun and the other was holding a sharpened large stick.
They're all in the black dressing and with mask, then come to the store with tools, we want money.
Today, the owner of the store was there speaking on behalf of the victims, saying they were threatened with consequences if they didn't comply with demands before handing over cash.
When they left the store, they cut off the phone line as well. He just tried to stop. They called the cops, yes.
By the time police arrived, it was too late. The ordeal was over. The 2 men fled the scene and tonight remain on the run. Anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers.
Still in the early stages of the investigation. We're open to all possibilities at this point.
This CCTV is one of the leads for police in tracking down the culprits, but the full recording isn't being released. They're described as being 180 centimetres tall, wearing dark hooded tops, dark coloured work pants and full face masks. The staff weren't physically injured but have been offered support from Pizza Hut for ongoing trauma.
Hard for and money, then now maybe when they feel scary, maybe not working anymore.
Louise Hedger, 7 Tasmania News.
A North Hobart pizza restaurant has been forced to pay more than $100,000 in penalties after discriminating against 4 of its migrant workers. The Fair Work Ombudsman has found the Crust franchise was deliberately paying the staff members less than their Australian colleagues and in cash in 2016. The Ombudsman says the operators breached further workplace laws by altering the record of hours worked before giving the information to inspectors. The workers have been back paid. A 46-year-old Howrah woman who allegedly stole from Cricket Tasmania is set to face a hearing. Renee Ferguson appeared in Hobart Magistrates Court by phone today, charged with 63 counts of stealing. It's alleged Ms Ferguson stole $5,000 from the Hobart Hurricanes and more than $9,000 from Cricket Tasmania in 2017. Her lawyer says she's pleading not guilty to the complaints. The court was told a hearing set for April next year is expected to look at CCTV footage and receive evidence from 2 police witnesses. Tasmania Police and the Australian Federal Police are launching a joint task force to crack down on child sexual exploitation. The new partnership is hoped to speed up the response to crimes that cross state and international borders.
Signing on together, Tasmania Police and the AFP formalising a new task force to battle the scourge of child exploitation.
We know in order to successfully identify, investigate and prosecute offenders and predators, we must collaborate and we must work together.
The task force, known as Jacket, will see 2 full-time AFP staff working alongside Tasmania Police.
This enhances our ability to give training to our own staff involved in this space so we can provide better outcomes for the Tasmanian community in keeping our children safe.
The violence perpetrated against them is more horrific and more traumatic. The children themselves are younger, and it's not uncommon for us to see babies and toddlers in these images.
Authorities hope by launching the task force here, they'll be able to speed up their reaction to international developments.
A lot of things that happen in the state may not be state-based. There'll be international victims in this as well, and it allows us to ensure that the greater community is safe.
We can now accelerate the way information is received from our international partners, enabling them to quickly rescue children who are being abused online.
Urging anyone with information about these crimes to report them to Crime Stoppers. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
The state government is under fire for handing over photos of Tasmanians to the Department of Home Affairs. It comes in readiness for the rollout of a national facial recognition database, but the legislation hasn't been passed.
It's an image many of us keep tucked away in our wallets. But it's been revealed our common form of identification is now in the hands of the federal government as part of a bid to fight identity fraud.
Well, we're expecting to do, and I think the community expects us to do everything we can to combat fraud online, whether it's with the banks, whether it's cyber security, and we need to work with our counterparts in other states.
The local images, with photos also from Victoria, have been uploaded to a national facial recognition database, with the system run by the Department of Home Affairs. The legislation first introduced in federal parliament last year is still yet to pass. The sharing of Tasmania's photos has been labelled a breach of privacy.
The Tasmanian government's confirmed that they've handed over the driver's licence photos of everyone in Tasmania, and they've handed them over to Peter Dutton so that he can continue marching Australia down the road to a surveillance state.
We need to investigate this properly, and I think we need to ensure that all Australians know what they're signing up for when they're handing over their personal data.
But the state government says identity fraud is an issue that can't wait.
More than 1 million Australians are impacted each year, $2 billion in terms of impact and fraud on the Australian people. It is a top priority for our government.
Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmanian News.
Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission release also reveals big spenders in Tasmania. Independent Senate candidate Steve Mav declared spending of almost $160,000. Despite that, he only took 3,500 votes. That equates to spending of $44 per vote. Labor candidate for Clark, Ben McGregor, received the highest amount of donations, $55,000, despite being unsuccessful. Electoral returns for some other Labor and Liberal candidates and Jackie Lambie will be revealed under party disclosures in February. The state government has launched the latest round of its Stock Underpass program in a bid to improve farm safety. The funding package offers farmers grants of up to $80,000 to build a tunnel for livestock to travel under busy roads. Dairy farmer Peter Griffin says the new underpass has improved the safety for both his cows and passing motorists.
Just the risk of coming down in the dark or in foggy conditions and coming across large herds of cattle crossing the road.
Funding for the program has been allocated in the state budget for another 2 years. Tasmanian sparkling wine producers have a branding battle on their hands with a push to have a name change for their top-end products. Producers argue it would help to differentiate premium sparkling from cheaper bottles.
Having a glass of wine may be an indulgence for some, but it's proving to be big business for Tasmania, injecting more than $100 million into the local economy and employing 2,000 people. Almost a decade ago, Australia was banned from using the name champagne, with sparkling wine the replacement.
The term champagne has probably done a lot to bring people, educated or not in wine, into sparkling wine.
But the push to have a special name for the state's premium sparkling is proving to be not so sweet. Apogee's wine founder, Dr. Andrew Peary, is leading the fight for a name change.
It's a problem when people spend up to $100 on Tasmanian sparkling when, you know, there are wines available that are also Tasmanian sparkling for less than $20. So I think there's a little confusion out there, and we'd like to help clarify that issue.
Wine Tasmania argues the majority of what the state produces would fit within the premium category.
Pretty well everything that is produced in Tasmania, as far as our wine is concerned, is premium.
The umbrella term of sparkling wine hasn't stopped consumers from drinking up. More than 20% of all tourists to Tasmania are visiting a cellar door, and they're spending more than ever before. While a name hasn't been chosen for what could be Tasmania's top level of sparkling wine, moves have been made in South Australia to create a tiered naming system. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's next big swimming sensation may have been on show today, with students from 56 schools across the south of the state competing during the opening day of the annual Inter-Primary Swimming Carnival at the Hobart Aquatic Centre. The best performers over the 8-day event will then be invited to attend a Champions Carnival later this month. The Tasmanian Craft Fair has wrapped up its final day of action with one of the largest crowds in the event's 39-year history. Exhibitors travelling from all over the country for the renowned 4-day showcase.
For self-confessed craft lovers, this event is a lock on the calendar.
We do the Melbourne International Flower Show. We do the Deloraine Arts and Crafts Show. These are the best shows of their genre in the world, in Australia, in my opinion.
Hundreds flocking through the doors for the final day of the Tasmanian Craft Fair, with 260 exhibitors selling everything from woodwork to jewellery and drawings. And it's not just the elderly showing off their creative talents.
My pieces take me up to, on average, about 110 hours to draw, and then these are all prints of my originals.
Taking out the Premier's Arts Award is DIY guitar maker Billy Tarrant, who builds his instruments from local timber. He's already got a few ideas on how to spend his $10,000 winnings.
I'm going to have a day off and I'm going to buy some new shoes because it's been a few years.
The event is the biggest working craft fair in the Southern Hemisphere.
The hotels, the cafes are all full. And we run a free shuttle bus up the main street.
And despite the wet weekend weather, organisers say attendance numbers are still up on last year. Many stallholders all vowing to return in 2020, rain, hail or shine.
It's been great since day one. We're doing a lot of events around Tasmania, but everybody love it.
Garth Burley, 7 Tasmanian News.
Hockey Tasmania says it won't look to recruit interstate or overseas talent for the next Hockey One season, despite the Tassie Tigers women's side winning just the one game this tournament, as the men now prepare for what's shaping up as a hotly contested finals campaign.
It's been a long and testing tournament for the Tigers women's side, but they were finally gifted some reward for effort over the weekend, finishing off the season with a 5-3 win over Western Australia.
Fantastic way to end the tournament and get that win and prove that we are up to the standard of the rest of the country.
The win providing the club with a much-needed boost for 2020, with McCambridge confident that the entire squad will return next season after showing some serious improvement in the later rounds of the tournament.
We do have such a great mix of youth and experience within our team, and I think at the point where we are now, our experienced players are still more than capable of continuing on, but it's great to have that mix of young players in there to be able to continue to develop and build.
Well, Hockey Tasmania CEO Damien Smith says the organisation won't look to pursue marquee players from abroad, but focus on developing young local talent over the coming years instead.
There will be potential drafts coming through in the next couple of years. We're just not interested in that space. We're going to have our Tasmanian players first and foremost.
Well, the men's semi-final fixture has been released, with the Tigers set to take on the Brisbane Blaze in Queensland this Saturday night, following their confidence-boosting 4-0 win over Perth.
To have our men consistently performing at a higher level, which they have done for many years, is just fantastic. And look, they're every chance to win it.
Welcome back. After a mostly cloudy start to the day, we saw showers across the state with some thunderstorms in the central east. Hobart, Burnie and Devonport all reached a top of 17 degrees, Launceston recording the state's high of 19. St Helens and Friendly Beaches shared that high today, Flinders Island 17, Smithton, Lowhead, Maria Island and Ooze all 16, King Island, Grove and Strawn 15, Lyoini with the state's overnight low of 0 degrees, warming up to 10 today. From the satellite, we can see cloud bands crossing the state from the west, bringing showers. A few thunderstorm clouds over the central east as well. Zooming out, patchy cloud over Victoria and southeast Australia, with a cloud band through the Tasman. To tomorrow now, when the chart shows a high pressure system over South Australia, extending a ridge across the mainland. On the waters, winds west to southwesterly at 10 to 20 knots, swells at 2.5 to 3 metres in the west and south. There is a gale warning in place for waters between Southeast Cape and Low Rocky Point, a strong wind warning for most remaining coastal waters as well as the southwest lakes, and a frost warning for the central north, Midlands and east coast. A late shower or two for Hobart tomorrow, looking at a top of 18, Adventure Bay 19, Tarraleah 13. Launceston, late showers 18 the top. Devonport becoming windy with late showers, a top of 15 degrees. Bridport also 15. Burnie, showers and 15. Strawn and Marrawar both 14. A shower or two for St Helens, 18. Swansea 21. White Mark on Flinders, partly cloudy and 15. Looking high with the UV across the state there. Now let's take a quick look further ahead through the week. Showers expected on Wednesday, mainly about the west and north of the state, falling as snow above 900 metres. Thursday, more showers again about the north and west, falling as snow above 700 metres in the southwest and above 900 metres on the central plateau. And more showers on Friday, initially about the west and south, but extending statewide through the day. Looking to the mainland tomorrow now, a partly cloudy day forecast for Perth, a possible storm in Darwin, showers for Sydney and partly cloudy conditions in Adelaide, Melbourne and Brisbane. And finally, let's take a look at the current conditions across the state. Jo, it looks like we've got some chilly mornings ahead.
Oh, that's not good news. Thank you, Britt. That's all from the team for now. Have a lovely evening and thanks for joining us. We'll see you a little later with updates. Good night.